separated by time. And we'll give you examples of that in a few minutes' time. So basically, by uncomfortable situations, for instance, how many of you can remember the jerk or a boyfriend or girlfriend that you had a relationship with when you were in high school? All right? Okay. All right, so quite a few raising your hands. All right, okay. Right, are you married? No, that's a funny story. All right. Right. But that's basically what I'm talking about. That a time when you might have had a relationship with someone that you kind of might have been good, or might have ended messily, etc. But actually, what often happens is that now you're talking to your friends about that relationship and you're laughing about it. Okay, that's a more extreme one. I'll give you an example in a few minutes' time of where I had an uncomfortable situation that I have now turned into a signature story. So we're going to listen, anecdote, uncomfortable, related to an anecdote particularly. And then G is about, if you go on to Yahoo and you go looking for the Googler, okay? Right, which is what some people still actually do, all right? Google, or the Googler as I refer to it, is your best friend in this search for humor. And what will illustrate to you how you can actually Google for material that you can drop into your presentation that will not cause you any copyright issues, or will not cause you any issues with stealing material or anything like that. But if you've taken a decision to add humor to your presentation, as we all have right now, you can find material online that will help you to add humor to your presentation. So a very, very simple example, we'll go through more in a few minutes' time, is you're looking for a... So, Laurie, what segments would you be speaking to in general?
What audiences?
Yeah.
Small businesses.
Okay, all right. So let's say a simple little thing you could do is Google jokes about small business, all right? Or funny stories about small business. It is just so simple. And when you actually, as we go through in a few minutes' time, you will actually see that Google will actually give you some other little ways that you can, it won't be just be jokes about small business, it might be jokes about small business disasters or something like that. Google will just add another option to you. But if you've taken the decision to add humor to your presentations, we say we have, Google is a fantastic tool for you. And then the final element of laugh is H. And H is for he. All right? He. Oh, wait a minute. No, it's he. The idea is that if you, what's the first letter in laugh?
L.
What does it stand for? Listen. All right. If you listen when you're doing your presentations for a he, and you might have said that just kind of something ad lib where you get he. If you start listening, you will figure out how to take that he and go to ho. All right? That is basically the idea behind this. It is pretty unusual for comics or presenters to come up with killer humorous material immediately. It's a process, it takes time. And the basic idea behind the he is that when you've listened and you've got them, they're smiling or something else, a good reaction, ask yourself, all right, how can I actually improve on that? Now, let's go back to one of the things we said you need, the tools you need. Unless you're recording your material, you probably are not going to remember the he, right? This is what I find out regularly, that I say to myself, all right, I'm going to remember that. And 10 minutes later, what was it I said that got them laughing? Don't remember it. And it's really frustrating at times. So this is why when you're doing your presentation, see if there's some way you can just get a basic audio recording of it. If you don't want to use it for commercial purposes, it's for your own purposes. But if you've got that he, you can build it to a ho. All right? So that basically is the format we'll take during this session to help you to get them laughing, get your fees up, and to get the audience connecting further with you. All right. So let's have a look now at where's the funny? Okay. Captain, you need a handout? There's the handouts, I think, around the place there. All right.
Thank you.
So where's the funny? Let's have a look at a few areas where's the funny. All right, how many people here in this room, I will have a question for you. Do you breathe?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Thank God there's no one dead so far, okay? It's funny the way that comedians say that sometimes their joke was a killer, isn't it? But, so you breathe. All right, if you breathe, you have made someone laugh in the last couple of weeks. That's where you're going to get your material from.
Intentionally or unintentionally.
Intentionally or unintentionally, yeah? And the unintentional ones are the more natural ones and the ones you can actually work on later. So that's the first question we've got. All right. Do you have family and friends?
Yes.
All right, okay. So you've got a madcap uncle, a goofy grandpa, or you've got a crazy kid or something like that, or your kids have done, or a sister, or you've got relations that you can either tell funny stories about, or they can tell funny stories about you, or you're having a conversation with them and something humorous happens, right? So you've got, that's where the funny is. Right, next question is, do you read? Right, okay. One of the very simple ways for you to build a library of humorous material that you can use during your presentations or during your workshops is that when you are reading some material and you smile at it, or you laugh at it, you take out that pen and paper and you keep track of it, right? So what you will again have over a period of time, particularly if you're an inveterate reader, consistent reader, over a period of time you will actually come up with some really good material that will be useful for your presentations. And when you're laughing at the material, you may not know that when I'm going to use it, or in what context I will use it. But what you're doing is you're just building up the library. And after a period of time, it will actually be of relevance to you. Yes, sir?
Do you suggest that we, I guess, like write the stuff like down word for word from the book, or the reason behind why we laughed?
Whatever it will help you to recall the material. I mean, I do two things. One is I copy a lot of it just into my notes on my iPhone, or I've also got a large file on my PC where I just drop in material as well. So for instance, I read a lot of history and biographies, etc. And I've got stories, either humorous or serious stories about a huge number of US presidents, for instance. From Ronald Reagan to FDR to Lincoln and all the people like that. And I just drop them into a large PowerPoint file. Right? So what you should do is find ways to capture what made you laugh and the material that made you laugh. And the point is, you don't know sometimes, you don't know a lot of the time when you're going to use it, but you will use it if you keep building up the material. Okay? Thanks for that question. Right. So the other questions were, all right, do you have a computer?
Yep.
All right. Okay. All right. So we get onto the Googler. All right. Okay. Do you have a television?
Yes.
Right. No. Right. Let me just go here now to something for a second. When you're watching something on television, is there something that will make you laugh? Some documentary or story on television that will make you laugh? I was watching a program the other night on, it was on Plex, it was one of the new kind of formats. It was actually a UK program. And they came up with a concept called Too Cool to Do Drugs, okay? And they asked what was this related to, so it's kind of a quiz show, all right? Let's see if it'll come up. It comes up, all right. What's the problem with a pencil that has the words too cool to do drugs on it?
What's the problem with what?
A pencil.
A pencil?
Yeah, that has the words.
Because it's going to say do drugs after you sharpen it, right?
You got it. You got it? Yeah.
Think about that.
Right? Can you see? Where's
The screen.
It went to sleep, so the screen went up by itself.
It was
Right.
magical.
Everyone note this as
That's
being
funny.
funny.
Yes.
Right? Yeah, absolutely.
The
Right.
power of humor.
The power of humor, yes. Come on, baby. Right.
It's only half as funny.
One more time.
One more time. With feeling. Right. Bring it on.
Oh, it's warm up.
Okay. All right.
There is
Well.
an image there.
There it comes.
All right.
Okay,
Okay.
it has a cool down period.
So, well, we can walk through at the moment, all right? So, you've got a pencil that reads too cool to do drugs, right? You start sharpening that pencil, and what's the first word that will get dropped out?
Two.
Right. So now you've got a pencil that reads cool to do drugs. That was a promotional gimmick that was produced by an anti-drug group in 1998, right? Right. No, the reason why I'm illustrating now is that I saw that little piece on a television program, and I thought it was really funny and a good way to illustrate. Now, let's just take that for a second. If you show that illustration or use that illustration, what stories could you tell about using that illustration? What is the object? Yeah.
Thinking things all the way through.
Very good. All right. So that's one example of thinking things all the way through.
Testing a product.
Testing a product. Okay. Any other examples?
Change. Change.
Yeah. The dangers of change. We're thinking things through, possibly. Yeah. Right. Anything else? Anyone else here in the room could possibly use that little idea? I think if you're talking about communication or the power of words, you can use it as well. And basically, the idea there is that I was watching a television show, I captured it, and I was able to use it for a presentation like this. All right? And so when you're watching television, have your little notepad with you as well from time to time. I mean, if you're speaking to any audience, those audiences almost certainly are going to know Jimmy Kimmel, they're going to know Colbert, they're going to know Seth Meyers, etc. If you're watching any of those programs, I would encourage you just to have a notepad with you in future. Yes, Ms. Vicky?
You've inspired me to watch documentaries about comedy. And there are some really good documentaries about the history of comedy and some older comics and some of the newer comics and really the discipline, like even watching the Joan Rivers documentary about how she had files and files and files and files of jokes.
Yeah.
So you have inspired me to take that on as a learning.
Well, thank you for that. Yeah, Jim?
And I was just listening to Alan Stevens' NSA thing, and he said you should throw away 30% of your material every year. And I thought, holy Christ. But if you're bringing in humor all the time, then that's possible.
It is possible now. We'll talk about the fact that humor needs to be contemporary as well in a few minutes' time. That's really important. We're talking about pop culture. But Vicky, you mentioned the documentary. How many people here have seen the documentary Comedian?
That's the one I'm thinking of.
Jerry Seinfeld is in it. And it basically takes Jerry Seinfeld after he dropped the Seinfeld show and he wanted to go back out on the road as a comic. And it went through his journey of trying to find enough material to do 60 minutes of comedy. And he found it really hard to do. Laurie, yeah.
Yeah, Kenny's work with, my husband's work with Seinfeld, and it takes about 5 years to get a tight 45.
Yeah. So it takes about 5 years to get a tight 45. Now this is what I'm saying about it being a process. That if you take the decision to add humor, you will, over a relatively short period, it won't take 5 years obviously, because we're not looking for a comedy session here, but over a very short period of time, you will be able to get your audience laughing and smiling 3 or 4 times during a presentation. And if you get them laughing and smiling 3 or 4 times during a presentation, evaluations you will get will say, great presentation, very humorous, really enjoyed it, she made me laugh, he made me laugh. And all you've done is only 3 or 4 times during the presentation. Yeah?
What do you think is the difference between a motivational speaker and a humorist? Like, how much comedy do you really need to be a humorist? I mean, lots of people call themselves humorists and you think, oh, I laughed once.
Yeah,
You know?
right, yeah.
You know, what do you think?
I think it's up to the audience evaluation at the end of the day, Laurie. I mean, when I'm speaking to nurses groups or oncology groups, I mean, they're looking for more humor side as well as a message. And I can adapt my material to that. But when I'm speaking to sales conferences or marketing conferences on building sales or building teamwork and productivity, it's a substance, but reinforced with humorous messages that are relevant, I think. There's no right answer. The answer comes from the evaluations you get at the end of the day, I think, as to whether or not you've clicked with the audience or not.
And remember Terry Watson, one time he spoke, and he had substance and humor, and afterwards they said, you know, our company's gone through some terrible times, we really only wanted humor. And that's when he learned he needed to ask the meeting planner, what do you want?
Yeah. That's a good point. Yeah, I mean, a very clear briefing as to what is required.
Yeah.
Rita.
I use a lot of humor, but I don't want to be called humorist, and I'll correct them